Good morning. This morning I'm going to talk about vision and how for many people the vision that they really have for their life doesn't fit in with what culture prescribes and how they're probably not chasing that or pursuing that, and kind of why that is. So you hear a lot about people talking about making a vision, developing a vision these days, because some people have finally realized that with how our education system is, no one has taught youth how to do that. And it's interesting because when you look at youth movies like fairy tales and, the classics like, all the Disney movies, Pinocchio and whatnot, in these movies, you have kids wishing or desiring some kind of like ultimate thing, right? And that the thing is normally unrealistic, right? And out of the picture, and it seems like, and that's why it's like a fairy tale movie or whatnot, it seems like it's impossible to grasp. But yet, that's what the whole point is of the movie, is for kids to help kids recognize that they should dream big and go and get it. And it's interesting to think about the disconnect between that and where our youth is growing up, because you kind of get the picture that's true, right? Because people say, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? You can be anything you want to be when you grow up. But you're given a parameter of what that is, right? So, like, you can become a doctor. There's a path for that. You can become a teacher or whatnot, right? Like, you are given this list of things or occupations per se. I'm just going to use occupations for an easier example. You're given many of them that you can pursue, but only within the given quote-unquote system. I don't necessarily like using that word because it means different things to different people, but let's just use the educational system, for example, right? So if you want to become a teacher, you're going to private or public education, and that's kind of it, right? You're not allowed to dream bigger of outside the box. But that's the whole point of these fairy tale movies, and the point that we're trying to get kids to is to dream outside of the box. So I'll share like my experience. I'm 27 now. I think it's taken me 10 years to figure this out. Like, I feel like at 27, I'm finally getting onto the other end of growing up and getting past childhood. Like, I feel like I'm 10 years past where I should have been at 17. Like, I feel like the mindset and understanding that I have now, I feel like you should have when you graduate high school. And the perspective that I'm trying to say is, I was one of those people that did not know what they wanted to be when they grew up, right? Like, I had certain things here and there that interest me, but my issue was my desires did not fit into the mold that I was given. And especially for me, like, I'm a pretty light liver, if you would say it that way. Like, I don't need the fancy stuff. I'm very minimalist. I don't think lots of things don't make me happy. Buying expensive things necessarily, lots of things, or like career, going up the ladder. None of the things that the world prescribes is chasing after I care for. And that's one of the reasons I went into parachurch organization, like a religious work at first, is because, I was like, this is what I fit into more because the other things don't. I have faith, and it seemed like the answer. And then I've been in there almost 6 years now, and that's definitely not the answer. Nothing against ministry per se, but I don't fit in there either. And it's taken me 10 years to get to understand that the yearnings of my soul in this life completely mismatch what options I was given growing up. And I don't know if that's necessarily anyone's fault. I just think that's the reality. But the crazy thing is that's the fairy tale story. Like that is the story of the kid. And so you get all these people growing up and they think that they're pursuing, and maybe they are, I'm sure there are plenty of things for some people that fit in this world, right? Like if your dream is to own a corporation, what a day to be alive, right? But like for other people, some of us are just born the wrong time period. But that's exactly why we're here, is because there's a G.K. Chesterton quote that he talks about this, of like how the saint is the antidote to every age. Now, I'm not like getting all self-righteous on my high horse, but the idea of a saint is some person who has a message for the age, normally religious, right? Think of medieval times. Probably calling the church out of heresy back to where it should be, but the church was really tied with the culture, right? So calling that culture and that age to reason, and they were almost always killed for it, right? Like the world didn't want to hear it. And I think there's some of us that are in that boat and don't understand it, and it's taken me a long time to come around. But giving yourself the freedom and the permission to really like dream big, but dream ultimate, in the sense of, and I'm not making like a utopia here, but like there are certain desires that our soul longs for. I'm not talking about sin, I'm just talking about like just longings for peace and life. And there's good things that you can long for. You got to be careful, because I think our sin can get into it if we get too self-centered about it. But there's things that we can long for that are worth standing out about and worth being different. And for some of us, because of the day and age, we're gonna stick out like a sore thumb, right? But all that to say, for some of us, we weren't given a big enough framework to dream big, like our souls have kind of been made for in this age. And this video is an encouragement to you to really analyze, one, do you have a vision of where you're going? Because for a long time I didn't, because I wasn't allowed to match up with what I wanted, but also I was just going with the flow because of that, right? So like I didn't know where I wanted to go, and I just went with the flow because of that. And so, life goes on, and then you get increasingly frustrated and you don't know why. And well, because maybe where you're going, you don't know where you're going. So one is to analyze where you're going and really analyze it, right? Like be honest, because this past year when I've started becoming really honest with myself, it's kind of terrifying, because you realize you do so many things for the wrong reasons, and it hurts. It's the only way you can put it. It's gonna hurt. So, I mean, that's the first thing. And then two, like, really dream big. Like for me, my dream is that's kind of what this channel I'm trying to document. It is. I just want a simple life, family, kids, land, small ownership of things, community. Like, I honestly, what people think of as more of medieval or underdeveloped living, that just seems like amazing to me. And there's hard work in that, right? Like, it's not It's not going to just open up and be easy. I'm not saying that this is paradise on earth, right? Eden's gone. But it seems worth living for and worth dying for. And that's really what you got to ask yourself is the path that you're on worth dying for? Because ironically, it's for most people, it's not even worth living for these days. You see it with the suicide rates, right? They're not living for anything, but you know that you're living for something if you're willing to die for it. And, you know, that's why a lot of people came to the United States. They believe that they were pursuing something worth dying for, and they were willing to risk their lives to go and chase it. And so, yeah, you gotta be real with yourself in that. And so, yeah, I guess the summary would be, if you feel like the life that you want isn't offered by the world, it probably isn't. And that's okay. Give yourself time to come to terms with that, but really be honest about what you feel like is right, and don't be afraid to get persecuted for that, in a sense. And I'm not saying pursue your sinful pleasures. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is have a life worth living and worth dying for. And yeah, I think the vision is, you need the vision, but it's not ultimate, right? Like, I have a vision for where I'm going, but I'm pretty open-handed with it because life's going to happen and God has his plans. And, you know, you got to be flexible with that. You can't hang on to it so tightly, or else you definitely will not get it, because there's a paradox there. If you hold something too tightly, right, if you're in love with someone way too much, you're not gonna they're not gonna want you. So yeah, there's a paradox there. But anyways, let me know if this is if this resonates to you. This has been kind of my last year of the recap of like how I've been going through life, and it's hard. I don't hear people talk about this. I think it's really common. I think it's one of the reasons that so many people are depressed and have a long time. I'm trying to get this awesome sun in the shot. Depressed and have a hard time today is because they're living lives that aren't theirs. And they don't have anything that's pursuing. But the world only offers so much, because which is so weird, because you can do anything nowadays, right? I'm talking to people across the globe with a device the size of a index card. Like, we have the possibility to do so many things, and yet our mind is so limited into what we believe we can do. And that is terrifying. I mean, you could think of, like, people talk about this with the Matrix, right? That's kind of the Matrix movie idea. But man, break out, be free, and give yourself a vision and really be honest with it. Because when you're really honest, you'll probably realize that you're different, and that's okay. But you got to come to terms with that. So, not sure where you're at this morning. I hope this is helpful to you. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree, what your experience has been. I'm trying to pursue with this channel that authentic, balanced life. Doing a balance of videos like this, of the things I've learned along the way, along with me trying to build that. So if you're interested in tagging along, please subscribe. And until next video, hope you have a great day. Godspeed.